Good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are. Welcome to Timberline Lodge. I'm standing in the Raven's Nest of Timberline Lodge, which is at the 6,000 foot level of Mount Hood. It's been quite a day up here today. It's a beautiful, sunny, crisp fall afternoon. So welcome to Friends of Timberline and our evening with friends. I'm Brent Dahl, president of Friends of Timberline, past couple of years. Welcome, and again, thanks for joining us for a brief hour, let's say, of a few comments from a few of us from FOT, but also we'll hear from our LKN company, most of you know as Timberline Lodge. We'll hear from John Tellis. He has a few words for everyone, as well as Dwayne Bishop from United States Forest Service. And then we'll hear from a few folks from FOT itself. Very glad that you're joining us tonight. We are streaming you live from the lodge. This is our second year of presenting some sort of a live presentation to each of you since we can't be together. Some of you know that tradition has it, our first Saturday in October, we have our annual auction and our annual dinner and such right here at the lodge. So we're going to try and bring us all together virtually if we can. So thanks again for joining. Next up, Laura Henderson is here, our vice president this past year. I'm going to introduce Laura and have her say a few words, please.
Hi, I'm Laura Henderson, and I want to first of all thank all of our Friends of Timberline supporters who are here tonight for this event. And hopefully next year we can be back together live here at the lodge celebrating like we have done so many years in the past. This last year, I served as vice president of our organization, and it was busy, accomplished so many things, so many people working so hard together. The first thing I want to do is introduce our 22 board of directors. First of all, our officers. Number one is Cal Bertram. He is our president. Adam Solomonson is our vice president. Bruce Mitchell is our secretary. And Shotzi Perkins is our treasurer. We also have 3 new members, and I want to welcome them. First of all is Kevin Carr. Second is Diane Crane. And third is Tanaya Ingram. So thank you all for your participation on the board. It's very meaningful to all of our partners for the hard work that you do. Next up, we're going to hear from John Tullis. He's going to do a brief interview with Brent.
Well, then you're going to do great.
Yeah. So tonight we're joined once again by longtime Director of Public Affairs and Programming, John Tullis. John, welcome back to Friends of Timberline. Tonight we're broadcasting live, as you know, from your home away from home, Timberline Lodge. Welcome.
Thank you, Brent. Great to see you.
And as tradition has it, this is the second year of tradition. We hope to keep this going. We'd like to give you, and on behalf of our LKN company, a chance to just update everybody on what the past year has presented and how your team dealt with it. I know you had a lot of challenges with certainly the global pandemic, healthcare, COVID-19 issues, but also staffing and supply issues, just serving the guests in and around the lodge and the ski area and so forth. And we can't forget the wildfires from late last fall, as well as the windstorm. So it's been yet another dramatic year. So please, if you may, just if you have a few comments or a look back at the year just concluded.
You bet. Well, thank you, Brent. I really appreciate this. I appreciate the Zoom. I guess that's one of the good things that's come of the pandemic, and it's probably going to stay. And so here we are. And so hello to everybody, to the Friends of Timberline. It's wonderful. Yeah, this year, really last couple of years now, really had their challenges for sure. That's an understatement. But I think we prevailed. Golly, I know it's not over yet. Um, it's been particularly tough on the hospitality business too, kind of on the leading edge of things. But I got to tell you, it's also been galvanizing. It's been an interesting time for us to kind of return to our core mission. And with Jeff Constam's steady hand on the wheel, we've done what we needed to do. I don't care if I never hear the word pivot again, but pivot we did. And put all of well, the lodge was literally closed down for a while. I won't go way back to there, but we again did what we had to do. And there was a lot of flexibility and resolve. And I think it was really good in that way. I attribute that to the old Timberline spirit of hope and purpose. I think we really dug into that. And as it turned out, outdoor recreation, it took on a new importance and even a new popularity for mental health and reconnecting with the outdoors. And that continues. The past sales, I can tell you, going into this winter have been great. We've also had some great events here recently out on the hill with our bike park, and that diversity has helped us. We had a recent success was something called the Cascadia Enduro bike event, which was just last week, and that was really great. Indoor ops, we're still struggling with a little bit, still retooling, still having to build our staff. And we're looking forward to getting that hitting on 8 cylinders again. Some events have suffered. Like I said, we're kind of getting back to our core mission. Things like our mountain music festival and so forth just don't make sense in this pandemic environment. But again, flexibility and resolve, I think, have been the order of the day, and things are good on balance, and we are casting our eye to the future.
That's terrific. And that term that you used, hope and what was it again?
Purpose.
Hope and purpose. That says it all. It's part of the voice of Timberline.
Yes,
Let's focus on one aspect. Part of our audience here tonight are new to Oregon, perhaps new to Timberline, new to Friends of Timberline, and they may not fully know or have had time to appreciate the rapport that we have, we being the Friends of Timberline with RK and Company, and then also the U.S. Forest Service, the three of us. If you could just briefly speak to that from an educational standpoint for those that are not familiar.
Yeah, well, a Timberline Lodge represents a tremendous public-private partnership with the government and with the Friends of Timberline. And this goes back to the very beginning. And I think it's one of the best partnerships I've ever seen.
Last question for you tonight, John. Again, thanks for joining us. Let's look to the future a little bit. Are there ways that the members of Friends of Timberline can help RLK and Company, or are there any newsworthy items that you'd like to share? I know the summit expansion has been getting out there. This is your chance to perhaps bring us up to speed on that.
Well, that's the big news. Thank you. I can certainly share that. The big news being that the Timberline and Summit permits with the Forest Service, special use permits, have been consolidated as one, and the boundaries have been combined to give us a tremendous opportunity for lots of plans that people have talked about for decades, really, including connecting the two with a gondola from government camp up to Timberline as alternative transportation, but also giving us some of the most vertical feet of skiing in the entire in North America. So we're very excited, and we are putting a master plan together. It's not out yet, but we will be publishing it on our website at timberlinelodge.com, and just want to encourage everybody to go to that website. I'm going to say sometime around early November and see what all is involved in the plan. It's pretty great.
Well, look forward to that. It's had a lot of attention. I know you spent months, probably even over a year or two, developing this document. Is that inaccurate? Or is that pretty accurate? It's taken a while for you to assemble this.
Yes. And now again, with those boundaries combined, we're taking it one step further and really refining that plan. One thing in particular I want to mention for the Friends of Timberline is that one of the tenets of this plan is to develop the base area of Summit for the most part, but with the gondola going on up to Timberline, developing it in a way as not to overshadow the lodge. The lodge will still always be the central feature of Timberline. And in fact, the plan includes a really interesting restoration initiative, and that is restoring the turnaround in front of the lodge. Originally, the lodge had a vegetated, a park-like setting in the front with a kind of a classic hotel turnaround. It only lasted one season, as I understand, but we have some better ideas of how to do that and to remove snow, which was the big challenge. And we'd like to do that as part of the master plan. It could be a really interesting project in the future.
Yeah, well, the Friends of Timberline would love to hear more about that as it comes along, as it develops. So that would be quite dramatic to return it back to 1938 condition, as if you will. So, well, John, in closing, I'd just like to say on behalf of members and supporters of Friends of Timberline, thanks for tonight. Thanks for being there and for your unwavering support of all things up at Mount Hood and certainly in the forest, but dealing with the lodge and all the millions of folks, frankly, that visit and watch what you're doing up there at the lodge. So thank you, John.
Thank you. I got to say, one of the highlights of my work, my career really, is serving so long as an ex officio member on the board of the Friends of Timberline. It's an honor and a privilege and a great group to work with.
Hi, this is Laura Henderson again, and I want to thank John Tullis for sharing all the exciting news about Timberline's future. It's just exciting, and I share John's enthusiasm for when COVID is over, getting the Mountain Music Festival back and running again. That will be a great time. Okay, next up is Dwayne Bishop from the U.S. Forest Service. Thank you, Dwayne.
Good afternoon. I'm here with Dwayne Bishop from the United States Forest Service. Welcome, Dwayne. Glad to see you. And we've arranged to get a few minutes with Dwayne to get caught up on things with the Forest Service, what's happening in and around Timberline, obviously, and Mount Hood National Forest. And Dwayne, why don't you fill us in a little bit about, perhaps at the very top, what's happening with staffing in and around the lodge? I know as it relates to the Forest Service, with your new supervisor.
Yeah, thanks for that. We recently we just hired a new forest supervisor for the Mountain National Forest, Maida Lofsgarden. She currently is the director for Oregon Watershed Enhancement Board, and most recently and in the past, she's also has a number of years working with NRCS. And so looking forward to her. She's starting on Monday next week. And so looking forward to that. Also, we hired recently Gar Abbas, who is our new deputy forest supervisor for the Mount Hood. He's been in place now about 3 months. And so we're believing that with these two new hires, we really have a high investment in the stability and long-term leadership of the forest. So Gar has mentioned several times he plans on retiring here, so I think he'll be a great asset to the forest and actually, more importantly, to the partners and stakeholders of the forest.
Very good. And then Dwayne, you'll return back to your position over at Willamette Forest. Is that right? You're the
Yep.
deputy forest supervisor over there.
Correct. Yep. I'll return. I'm going to spend a week with Meta, transitioning next week, and then I'll return the following week back to the Willamette National Forest into my previous role as a deputy.
Very good. Very good. Well, thanks for all you've been doing to this point on behalf of all of us at Timberline Lodge, Environs, and obviously Mount Hood National Forest. Switching gears a little bit real quick on the interpretive program. I know that thousands of people depend on that or look forward to it, I guess is a better way to put it, every year when they finally make their way up to the lodge and check things out. I know this has been hard to predict in terms of what the Forest Service can do in regards to greeting and providing education and such for the public. Maybe you can say, Dwayne, maybe you can't. Any update at all on the interpretive program for perhaps 2022?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that will drive that. Where we are with COVID. Decisions are made in the Washington office about how we open and how we stage our offices in all of the federal buildings. And so once we see a developed plan for that, we will have a better idea how that rolls out. In general, I think the interpretive program is critically important with the number of visitors that come to Timberline every year. Not only local visitors, but regional visitors, national, and especially the international. And so I think, rebuilding and restoring an interpretive program is critically important up at Timberline. It's the way that we talk about public land. It's the way we cherish and value, such an iconic place. It's been on the landscape for so long, and I hold it in very high regard, as well as I know the region and even the Forest Service nationally does that. So I would fully expect that we will invest in that program and open the doors with engaging the public.
That makes sense. And our group, for the Timberline, we have a committee that talks about and decides what to do to help Forest Service in this arena. So we'll look forward to that. Switching gears a little bit to financing and money. I remember last year at this time, I sat down with Richard Perriman. At the time, we had just come off of the wildfires and the disaster that all of that brought, as well as the pushback from the pandemic and restrictions on access, that type of thing. But one of the bright spots of that conversation was the Great American Outdoors Act, which became law. And so here we are a year later. It's a bright spot still. Do you have any general comments about either that or money and financing for the lodge as you know it? Perhaps you don't know completely in your temporary role, but maybe I know the folks out there just want to get an update on where things are headed and where they've been the past few months.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So I can share what I know right now, but I think in general, I think we're very happy with GAOA, or Great American Outdoors Act, and really the acknowledgement of the need nationally and regionally, and especially at Timberline, and looking to rebuild. As an example, the boiler project, that and it was divided into 4 phases, totaling about $12 million, and we actually awarded phase 1 this year, and that's underway. And so I think really excited about that and the progression. But I know that's only the beginning of it, and I know we've got lots and lots of work ahead of us. And I'm excited that we do have GAOA to fund that work. It's critical work, as well as the future infrastructure bills that we hear about. I haven't heard what that looks like completely, but I embrace it strongly. I think we have probably tens to hundreds of millions of dollars of backlog of deferred maintenance on this forest, and a good chunk of that is at Timberline. And so this is a great way for us as a forest to invest in that and really kind of do that management that has been deferred for quite a while. And so I can't answer dollars and cents at this point, but I can say that we're highly invested in working with RLK as well as Friends of Timberline and the Forest Service to move that conversation and move those projects forward in their development and more importantly their implementation. And so it's it's Timberline for me specifically is, it's an iconic place with national recognition. And so it's a great place for us to anchor a lot of those funds to do that work. And so we're just now, we're still in the process of figuring out what that looks like and then how we can get all that work done.
That makes complete sense. Last thought. Again, we're chatting with Dwayne Bishop tonight from the United States Forest Service. Last thought here, Dwayne. Looking forward to the future. First of all, thank you for coming up from Willamette to help out here at Mount Hood Forest. It's probably been quite an experience for you, just to step into the role and discover things perhaps you didn't even know about Timberline or the Mount Hood Forest. So thank you for that. As you look forward to fall, and you're going to head back to Willamette, but I know that you're going to be still engaged with all things Timberline. So do you, from your unique perspective, I guess, what do you see as far as future opportunities of our group, Friends of Timberline, working, with Forest Service team as well as our OK team?
That's a good question. So, I think the future opportunities are endless. It's just how creative we want to be. I started my career on the Mount Hood years and years ago, and I worked on the Mount Hood for 22 years. And so, as well as, I was born and raised in Gresham and, grew up coming up to the lodge. And so I have a long-term relationship with the lodge. And, especially now coming back in the role that I'm in, I just have found such gratitude, if you will, for Friends of Timberline and what you've done over the last 46 years. And I think I worked before I left the forest. I worked at Zigzag for 11 years under Bill Westbrook, and I learned so much from him about partnerships and just working across those boundaries and how to engage and have open dialogue. And I know Bill's going to be on the forest for a number of years into the future, and I think he'll be a great leader in that conversation. And he introduced me or reintroduced me to the three-legged stool concept between, RLK and Friends of Timberline and the Forest Service, and it just makes such sense. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I think we just hit on one of them, the interpretive program, but there's a great opportunity there to talk about forest health, forest resiliency, and the Friends of Timberline actually helping us convey that message. So it's just not always a Forest Service person standing there, but it's an opportunity where we have so many national and international visitors to Timberline. I think if we embrace that and move forward with that big conversation about, and also climate change is another great opportunity to really engage with the public around. And again, such an iconic place and such a great place to learn about. So I think I think there's those opportunities there. And I know the forest will be very engaged in that. I know Meta in her new role as the forest superior, one of the skill sets that she brings is that collaborative effort and that ability to work through collaboration and be able to I guess share the stage with a lot of other stakeholders and partners and whatnot. And so I'm very excited for the forest and Friends of Timberline and working with RLK at that, because I know that's her strong suit. And so I see a pretty wide open future for this partnership. And
every time I chat with U.S. Forest Service folks, like the conversation we just had with Dwayne Bishop, I'm struck by two things. Number one is how patient they are with their work, but also their thoughts and just how they go about their tasks and their duties. They truly do care about the forest, about the land, about the people. It's just a kind of an unspoken feeling I get from each of them, from Bill Westbrook, from Dwayne. I know last year we had a conversation with Richard Perryman, and for those of you who remember September 2020 with wildfires and certainly the pandemic, but also winds and such. Anyway, hopefully you get the point there. It was just a great chance to chat with Dwayne. So thanks so much. Moving ahead, let's pivot a little bit. We've want to talk a little bit about Friends of Timberline. This group started in 1975, and that's a long time ago for some folks. And the thing is we have been able to keep this support nonprofit going for 2-3 generations, however you want to calculate that. So I had a chance to chat with Laura Henderson, our vice president, this past year about an exciting idea we came up with. We thought, hey, we need to celebrate this nonprofit ourselves, the 50th anniversary. So let's listen in to a quick chat with Laura.
So this afternoon, I'm chatting here with Laura Henderson, Vice President of Friends of Timberline. Good afternoon, Laura. Thanks for being with us today.
Hey, Brent.
It's been a pleasure working with you. We're all volunteers here on the FOT Board of Directors, and folks, I've got to tell you, Laura has really taken charge of the FOT 50th Anniversary Committee. We have looked at the calendar and said, wow, we started this in 1975, and there's going to be some folks here in 2025 to celebrate 50 years of volunteer service. So, Laura, if you can, please briefly describe what are we up to here?
Okay. Well, basically what we want to do is we really want to preserve the history of FOT, and especially the people, the volunteers who've contributed and have done so much for Friends of Timberline with all of the projects that they've done. We talk a lot about the various projects. I mean, the amphitheater, the naturalistic pools, lighting up the arts. These are just, fabulous things that volunteers have come to work. They have a huge passion for Timberline, and we really want to capture their stories. We want to interview some key people along the way who've been so instrumental to FOT. And that's really what we're trying to do, because we want to be able to share this information with our members, past, future members, as well as you have to remember that Timberline Lodge attracts over 2 million visitors a year. This is really important information for them to know about. We also want to share it with colleges, art institutes, as well as we have a special place in our heart to share this information with children in our communities, in schools that may not have the opportunity to come up to the lodge and learn about all of our history. So that's sort of in a nutshell of what we're trying to do. So far, we've identified people that we want to interview. We've identified about 3 to 4 activities that we want to do throughout the year of our 50th year. A couple of those activities may be in Portland, downtown. Others will be up at the lodge, and maybe in partnership with some of our strategic partners as well. And also very critical to this is we've kicked off a fundraising campaign to help and support this venture. And I just want to say a big shout out to Otson Foundation. They were the first foundation that helped us with seed money to kick off our efforts.
Yeah, that's great news, and the folks at Otson and hopefully other foundations can see what we're attempting to do here. We're celebrating Oregon, but we're also celebrating volunteerism.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
One of the unique aspects of this rapport is what we call the three-legged stool. It's United States Forest Service, it's R.L. King Company, who is the area operator, runs the lodging, the retail, the ski, as well as Friends of Timberline. Do you have any commentary about that? How does that work? I mean, why does it work so well, in your own opinion?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things that I've been doing as part of the 50th anniversary, committee chair, is I've been reviewing a lot of the videos that we have in our archive, and recently came across an interview with Richard Constam, and he was talking about, bringing together RLK, which is a private business, with the Forest Service, which is government, and then in creating a nonprofit. So it really provides a lot of this partnership. Each individual, they're able to play in their own lanes, but there's also flexibility to help each other out when need be. So it creates, flexibility to do things that, a entity by itself wouldn't have. But it was so interesting listening to Richard on this video talk. He was very proud about the fact that this was the first time anything like this had ever been created, this type of partnership, in bringing these three separate entities together. I think, he just had a vision that, needed more flexibility, needed to be more nimble, and that these three organizations could work together very well, which has occurred. And I think a lot of it, Brent, has to do with, there is so much passion with all these players about the lodge. This history is right in Oregon's back door. We are so proud of it. We're so proud of the lodge. We're so proud of all the tourism that comes to Oregon. There's so much history here, and it's just, an exciting place to be and visit.
Very well put. There's a sense of pride in your voice, as it is with most that volunteer for and spend time in and around Friends of Timberline. And those are great comments, Laura. If you were to say one last thing to our members, perhaps, that are watching this, or to corporate supporters, or even foundations that are interested in helping us along the way, get us over the finish line here. 2025 will be here before we know it, unfortunately or fortunately, but it's coming up. How can people help? What would you like to offer out there?
Okay, there's several ways. First of all, there's a lot of employers out there that really value their employees, participating, contributing to their community. In that situation, let your employees know that there's volunteer opportunities with Friends of Timberline up at the lodge. We're also looking for sponsors, to help us with the fundraising and to get, this over the finish line. So that's always an opportunity. And also we would encourage, whether it's employers or employees, get involved, come up to the lodge, join our activities with Friends of Timberline, learn about what we're doing up there and all the great things that are going on. And as far as foundations are concerned, give us a call or return our phone calls.
There we go. There you have it. We've been chatting with Laura Henderson, Vice President of Friends of Timberline and also Chair of the 50th Anniversary Committee. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Brandon.
That was a good conversation we had the other day with Laura. Thank you so much for joining us, Laura, for that little bit. And she said it the way it is. There you have it. Hey, folks, we're going to pivot here real quick and talk about the naturalistic pools. Those of you that have been in and around Friends of Timberline for years know that we're a project-based organization. We come up here, we take a look around, we look at the campus, we look inside, we look underneath and behind things here and there, poke around and say, hey, here's a project that the Forest Service perhaps doesn't have the ability to tackle, or RLK and Company perhaps doesn't have the ability to tackle. That's on us. And so back in 2015, 2016, thereabouts, a few of us wandered out behind the lodge, and we were walking up through on the pathway there and started to notice, well, what is this? And that led to discovery of the pools. And then one thing led after another and said, this needs to be a project that FOT takes on. So here we are 6 years later, $175,000 raised, all private money, by the way, no public money, no grants. It was just folks like you and I that contributed. We have several that are major donors, but a lot of it was just here and there from folks. But we did it on behalf of FOT. We need to thank a few folks, certainly D&L Trucking, McKinsey design firm, and there's been a few other suppliers along the way, but this is a big deal. So let's take a look here at a few slides that we took at the dedication ceremony just a few weeks back.
Camera. Hi. The dedication of the pools was just a fabulous event. It was just so wonderful to have so many people here at the lodge to tour all the pools and to see their reflections in them. So anyway, next up, I want to introduce Mike Gentry. Mike is a long-term supporter of Friends of Timberline and has been on the board for many years as well. So here's Mike.
So this afternoon, we're having a quick update and a quick chat with Mike Gentry. Mike, you are unique amongst the great of FOT, if I can say it that way. You're a two-time past president. You've been in and around this volunteer group for 25 years, thereabouts. And I know that this year you've served with remarkable distinction as a secretary, again, for Friends of Timberline. As you leave your term here in late 2021, what thoughts do you have looking back at this last year? This was a challenging year, not only for the lodge, but just all of us living through the global pandemic. But what thoughts do you have for the folks about just this last year?
Well, you're absolutely right, Brent. It has been a very challenging year, particularly for the lodge operations with all of the COVID restrictions. And some of those have impacted what we've been able to do this past year. But we've had some notable steps forward, I think. 10, 12 years ago, Friends of Timberline was involved in the reconstruction of the amphitheater And every 2 or 3 years, we stain, restain, and clean and restain the amphitheater seats. We were able to get that done this past Sunday, luckily catching a 1-day break from the rain to get it done. So we're pretty proud of that. One of our other projects called Saving America's Treasures is just on the verge of being completed. It has to do with the refurbishing or restoration of a number of the art projects within the lodge, which are stunning. We also have been working, oh gosh, for the last 5 or 6 years on the rehabilitation and reactivation of an original aspect of the lodge, which was a series of naturalistic pools that flowed down from Mount Hood to the back of the lodge area, and that had been in disuse and not in very good condition for probably 30, maybe 40 years or so. And we have been able to restore that area, including a water flow, so that you get the cascading feel of water going from the various pools into the lower pools. I invite anybody who hasn't seen that yet to go up and take a look at it. And the last thing I would mention in this current year, or year soon to be passed, is that Friends of Timberline was established in 1975. So 2025 will be the 50th anniversary of Friends of Timberline. We've already created a committee looking forward to do some planning. And one of my happy tasks is to take a look at all of the existing videos and video footage that have been accumulated in our archive. There is a particular video that I probably saw quite a few years ago, but it refreshed me to open it up again. It has to do with
we got bumped out
the
when we were doing
formation
this.
of Friends of Timberline and what it accomplished over its first 25 years. And it's just been a real joy to work my way through that video and see or remember the number of projects that have been accomplished by Friends of Timberline or with the efforts of Friends of Timberline at the lodge. It's just a real joy.
Hey, last question, Mike. I know that you're going to be stepping off of the board here in fall of 2021 because of term limits, but I've heard that you're thinking about coming back after your year off sabbatical. Do you have any thoughts for the next group coming in, and maybe when you return in a year or so, what are your thoughts for the future?
Well, I will certainly be returning. I have a hard time getting off of the horse that I like to ride, and this is a wonderful horse to ride. Friends of Timberline does really important things, and frankly, things that other involved groups cannot do. We're part of what is known as a three-legged stool, and Friends of Timberline, I think, was unique in the nation in this arrangement when it first came about. You have the Forest Service, who is really we all own the lodge. I mean, all the people own the lodge, but the Forest Service is really the custodian for our interests as it relates to the lodge. RLK and Company is the hotel manager, if you will, the operator of the lodge. There are certain things that RLK and Company can't work into its budget and planning in terms of the needs of the lodge. That's been true for a while. There are certainly things that the Forest Service cannot do, such as lobbying. Friends of Timberline is in a position to fill some of those gaps and has been filling those gaps for quite a while. We can do lobbying, and we can be the voice of the people in moving the needs of the lodge forward in a political or legislative setting. And likewise, we have the opportunity to raise funds and to undertake specific projects that really aren't within the scope of the normal operating budget of the lodge. So this three-legged stool, if you will, has worked well for a number of years, and I have no doubt that it will continue to work well in the future. So I think one of the big challenges to Friends of Timberline and organizations like it is to recruit the next generation, if you will, the next wave. You notice my hair's a little gray, and that's not unique to a lot of our members. And so we need young, fresh blood to keep this spirit moving forward. And I have no doubt that with the current board and with some really smart younger people on our board, that avenues for reaching out and engaging a new group, a younger group, a wider group will be successful. And I intend to be a part of that movement.
Thank you, Mike Gentry. That was quite a little visit we had. I just felt the need to bring Mike on for a little bit and just honor the fact that he's been a supporter not only of his time, but also financially for this organization. We're better because of Mike. So thanks again, Mike, for doing that. Hey, we in the chat function tonight. Again, we're live from Timberline Lodge here. I'm here with Laura, Vice President of Friends of Timberline. I'm Brent Dahl, President, or just past President as of yesterday, I guess. Let's cue up the slides about the pools project. I know that here in our chat we've been getting a few requests to see some of those shots again. So maybe let's take a look at that little segment again. So when he comes back.
I want to thank everyone who participated with the various interviews by RLK and the Forest Service and Friends of Timberline. As you can tell, there's a lot of exciting things happening on the mountain, at the lodge, and with FOT as well. Next, want to turn the subject over to the auction, which why we're here all tonight. The auction is our primary fundraiser. It's an annual event that we put on every year, the first Saturday in October. And I just wanted to share with you a few things about the items. Number one, these are unique items that have been hand selected, and there are many experiences as well. There's a wide offering that we have on our auction site for your review. So many exciting things. from wine to outdoor experiences and vacations. And so we hope that you take the time and look through the offering that we have. We have almost 100 items, and I think we have signed up over 100 bidders as well. And it's still not too late to sign up to be a bidder. One of the unique things about bidders who sign up, they do receive a pass to the Columbia Sportswear Employee Store, which is a big item with a lot of our members. Brent, do you have any other items or things to share at this point?
No, I think the main thing is just please take a look at what we've gathered. A lot of time and effort went into each item, and we've always tried to focus on unique experiences or unique items, that type of thing. So I think you know what I'm trying to say. So please participate if you can. And again, the Columbia Sportswear passes for their employee store is a great benefit. If you're not able to, or you've spent what you need to or would like to on the auction, feel free to get over to Columbia and get some things for this upcoming winter season. And just know that I think it's 10% of the purchase price, if you will, goes right back to FOT with to finance our operations and projects. So that would be it.
And our auction isn't just a one-night event. It kicks off tonight and it extends through the 6th. So we've got about 4 days. And there will be videos of this event that will be on Facebook and other social media. So if you know someone who maybe is out of town, something like that for the weekend, and you want to share this with them, please do so and encourage them to sign up and check out and participate in the Friends auction this year. Thank you.
Very good. So there you have it. So that'll bring things to a close here for tonight. Thanks for joining an evening with friends from Timberline Lodge. I'm Brent Dahl. This is Laura Henderson. We look forward to your membership and your support this coming year. Again, if you have any questions, you can visit us online at friendsoftimberline.org or certainly call our FOT office. Thanks very much to everyone. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yay.